Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to a peaceful bedtime story. Tonight, we bring you the Star Money, a gentle tale of a kind-hearted girl whose generosity shines in the quiet night. As she gives without expecting anything in return, the stars softly begin to fall, turning kindness into magic. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the magic guide you into sweet dreams. Her name was Ellen, a quiet, gentle child who once lived in a tiny wooden cottage at the edge of a pine forest. Her father had been a woodcutter. Her mother had been a seamstress who embroidered soft linen for the village women. They were poor, but they were kind. They never had much money, yet they always shared what little they could: a cup of soup, a loaf of bread, a warm shawl for someone colder than themselves. Ellen remembered their home fondly. The smell of pine logs crackling in the fireplace. Her mother's soft singing as she stitched by candlelight. Her father lifting her onto his shoulders on cold winter mornings. A single window through which she watched the stars at night. But winters in that land were harsh. Food was scarce. Work dried up. And when a sickness swept through the village, it took both of her parents within weeks of each other. Ellen was only 10. At first, neighbors tried to help her, but they were struggling themselves. Her cottage was rented. When her parents died, the landlord reclaimed it. The villagers cared, but they could barely keep their own children fed. Ellen had no siblings. She had been her parents' only child. With no relatives and no home left, she wrapped herself in her mother's old coat and stepped out into the world because she had nowhere else to go. She took with her a small piece of bread, given by an elderly neighbor, her father's wooden pendant, her mother's last-stitched handkerchief, and the faint hope that somewhere, somehow, she might find warmth again. When Ellen finally stepped out of her little cottage, it was the beginning of Christmas week. The snow had just begun to fall, and the village was glowing with warm lights. As she walked down the narrow path, she passed houses where families were decorating small Christmas trees, tying red ribbons, baking sweet bread, and hanging lanterns by the windows. Through the frosted glass she saw children laughing around a glittering tree, mothers lighting candles, fathers carrying home firewood for the Christmas meal, wreaths hanging on doors, stars placed gently on the tops of trees. Everywhere she looked, Christmas warmth shone like tiny golden flames. But she had none of it. No tree. No warm room. No family left to celebrate with. Only her mother's coat, her father's wooden pendant, and the teachings of kindness they left behind. She kept walking, past the houses filled with Christmas joy, past the music and ringing bells, into the quiet winter fields, carrying with her the last light of her childhood. She walked into the countryside because she believed the forests her father once worked in might protect her. And she remembered her mother's words: "When you have nothing left, give kindness. Kindness is a light that never goes out." So she walked, alone, hungry, shivering, through cold paths and frozen fields. She set off into the countryside, walking under a gray sky. Along the road she met a hungry man, who begged, "Please, give me something to eat." Without hesitation, the girl gave him all the bread she had, saying, "May God bless it to you." Then she continued walking, even though her stomach ached. As she walked further, she came across a young child shivering, crying that the cold wind stabbed at his head. The girl felt a pang of compassion. Immediately she removed her hood and lent it to him. A little later, she met Anular child, a small boy, freezing in a thin jacket. Without thinking of herself, she gave him her own coat. Then she walked on. A little farther still, a child asked her for a dress. The girl offered her own. Now she was left with only a shift, which was a simple undergarment. Night fell, and the sky darkened, yet the girl kept walking. In the depths of a forest, she stood there, shivering, in the darkness and emptiness, but her heart was calm. She had given away every possession she had. She closed her eyes and whispered a prayer for warmth and protection. Then, as if heaven itself had heard, the sky opened. Tiny lights, like stars, began to flutter down from the heavens. The stars fell around her, turning into smooth silver coins which glinted into the forest. At the same moment, a new garment of fine linen appeared on her, a beautiful dress, warm and soft. She gathered all the coins she could in the folds of that dress, and realized she had become rich. From that day forward, she never again suffered poverty, and everyone remembered her not as the poor orphan, but as the kind girl who gave everything she had, and was rewarded by the stars themselves. For a heart that gives without asking always finds more riches than the world can ever count.